What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Narik Chase channel. I'm your boy Narik Chase, and in this video we're going to be reviewing Dragon Ball Super. Now, Dragon Ball Super is a follow-up to the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z manga created by Akira Toriyama in 1984, which ran to 1995. The manga ends up picking up from where Toriyama left off as Toyotarou takes over and continues the story of Goku and friends who end up learning about the bigger universe, the multiverse of Dragon Ball Super, where there's gods, angels, and all types of crazy deities. Now, before we continue to view, be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what we got going on this channel. Now, there's a lot to say about Dragon Ball Super. A lot of it good, a lot of it not so good. But how does it follow up to Dragon Ball Z? Now, for those who haven't seen my good, bad, and ugly of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z is one of my all-time favorite anime. I've enjoyed it. I grew up with it. I grew up with the characters. I love the fights. I think it's an interesting story. There is a lot that Dragon Ball Z did right, and it did usher in anime, especially in the Western world. In fact, it's still one of the top 5 in my opinion. Dragon Ball Super is what Boruto is to the Naruto series. There is the anime, and they definitely have not been able to keep pace with each other. And so there is a lot that's already been established in the anime that was already put into the manga, as well as things being put into the manga that was never made it into the anime. The story, again, is actually pretty interesting. If you want more of a condensed version, I think the manga would be a more direct way of establishing yourself into the story and getting more into it. There are a lot of really interesting aspects to the manga. There are some pretty cool arcs that I think are actually really good. I did like the Goku Black arc. The Moro arc is probably the best one. It's got an interesting villain, it's got an interesting story, it's well paced, and it does have a different feel to it. Also, at this current moment now, they're on the Granola arc, which again is another interesting arc that they have, and probably one of the better arcs in the entire franchise. Vegeta does have a bit more development with his character, especially a very interesting subplot during the Moro act, which actually revisits some of the events of Z and how it has affected Vegeta, as well as you see him develop as a character. It was one of the strongest moments I've seen in the entire series. Interesting, but I ultimately think the story is actually pretty good. Y'all can't tell me that Goku Beerus fight from Battle of Gods wasn't legit. With the Dragon Ball Super, there is a bit more complexity. There is a bit more mechanizations that are at work, and that helps give the series a bit more depth that it was quite lacking. Now, if we look towards the characters, there are a lot of really good characters. I definitely love Beerus and Whis. They are definitely two of my favorite characters. They have such great chemistry together. I love the humor between the two. I love the banter between the two. They're definitely some of the better characters in the entire franchise. But that's not to say that they're the only really good characters. There are a lot of great characters that have been introduced, as well as being reintroduced. I love seeing some of my favorite Z fighters that I've grown up with through Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z make an epic return, be able to have some interesting moments. Now, I will say this. If you watch the anime, I think the anime definitely gives them a lot better shine than what the manga does. The Tournament of Power is absolutely awesome in the anime. Yes, it's long, it's drawn out, but I love seeing those characters have those really good moments. One of my other favorite characters in Super was Frieza. I actually liked his character. Other characters from other universes, Jiren is actually a pretty cool character. I like Topo. I think he's an awesome character. Other Supreme Kais, other Gods of Destruction. Like, the cast of characters is just straight up awesome. Some pretty interesting, significant, and deep villains in this series as well. The Goku Black arc features an interesting character named Zamasu, and it's interesting seeing his perspective of why he thinks the things that he thinks, why he's going on his mission to do what he's doing. I like Moro, and I can always thank Dragon Ball Z for having really cool characters. One of my biggest problems with the series is, for many of the negative aspects of Goku that you've seen in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super, usually if you're a dumb person when you're a kid, typically you wise up. In Super, not so much. Goku definitely takes a nosedive in terms of character development and consistency. And oftentimes it makes for some very stupid decisions, not only in the writing aspect, but for the character. And it makes you very frustrated with him. Just laughably bad decision to potentially get himself killed as well as everybody else killed. When you go back to the Cell Saga and you had the fight between Goku and Cell, and at the end of the fight, Goku ends up giving Cell a Senzu Bean, but the reason why he did that was to show and test Gohan's full potential. That made more sense. Yes, it was a bit of a gamble, but it actually showed you his support for his son and his belief in his son. Whereas you see things like that happen in Dragon Ball Super to the point it doesn't make sense why he did it. Now, Vegeta does take a bit of a step back, especially with him being stubborn. At the end of Z, you see him give his respects to Goku, and some of that stubbornness and rivalry does make itself known and featured in Super. And to some aspect, it's cool, especially with the training, but in the other aspects, especially again with large stakes and everything, at this point, Vegeta has learned that there are times him and Goku have to team up to fight a villain, and he gets over that in Z, at least by the end of Z. But in Super, they just bring it back in spades, and it's like, come on. I like the fact that Vegeta does focus on his family, and you do get those tender moments where you actually genuinely see Vegeta caring about his family, Trunks, his daughter, Bulma. You get to see that. But with Goku's family, you don't see almost next to none of that. And at some point you can say, well, because he's a Saiyan, but if Vegeta can overcome that, Goku can too. Just like if there's a villain that's strong enough to kick y'all ass, y'all can overcome y'all petty differences to tag team this dude. I didn't really mind the art style. I thought it was really good. I thought it did carry on well from Toriyama's. It's pretty close. There are some slight differences, some to the character designs, how certain action sequences are presented, the paneling. I will say, I really didn't pay attention to the paneling until the Granola arc. I started noticing that the paneling felt a bit convoluted. There was so much going on, and a lot of it was necessary. I'm all for conversations during fights, but sometimes conversations tend to take over more of the fights, or at least they could have actually had the conversation while they were actually fighting. I could have dealt with that. There are some sequences where you have all of these character reactions and they don't really seem like they contribute anything to the overall story, so they just feel like filler. It does show that there definitely is a difference between Toyotarou and Toriyama in terms of the art style. You could argue that there are some scenes that are copied from Dragon Ball Z. How many different ways can a person take a punch in the face? And I get you can draw from different angles, I suppose. Art style, actually pretty good in my opinion. Now, my biggest problem with the manga is definitely the writing. I had the same issue with the anime. The writing, I feel, is just all over the place. It feels like trash at some points. There are interesting ideas buried beyond the bullshit in this manga, but it's hard to see because of just how bad the writing is. Again, I've already touched on this. I love Goku, I love Vegeta. I don't want to see these two motherfuckers all the time. I like the other Z fighters and I want to see them do stuff. I want to see these new characters do stuff like that. It was such a refreshing experience dropping away from Goku and Vegeta and actually diving into the story of Granola. I actually enjoyed that. The whole part where Moro comes to Earth to fuck up Earth, to draw in Goku and Vegeta in their final climactic battle, was actually great seeing these Z fighters step the fuck up and help fight and actually defend the Earth. I like stuff like that. I don't want to see Goku and Vegeta sitting here just taking up all of the damn spotlight. It gets annoying. The power scaling is just fucking atrocious. Goku and Vegeta are god level characters, sitting here fighting other characters that are nowhere near as strong as they are, and they're powering up to like God mode, Super Saiyan Blue and stuff like that for no fucking reason. Or if they do, they draw out fights. There is one sequence where Roshi is actually fighting Jiren. And even though he can't physically beat Jiren, he's outmaneuvering Jiren. And I'm like, how is Roshi able to stick up with Jiren? Jiren is like God level. Roshi can't move no light speed. So how can Roshi outmaneuver God level Jiren? That doesn't make any sense. And then you sit here and you see characters train, and they train for like one day and able to fight God level characters. A lot of the writing choices were just on those two as well. I know the studio had some input on that as well. Put a limiter on these characters, especially these transformations. And let's talk about the transformations. The transformations are just fucking ridiculous in this series. I understand within Dragon Ball Z characters transformed, especially during times of duress, during times they possibly needed it the most. Although that was technically not the case for everyone. Goku ends up achieving God level. Super Saiyan God, completely irrelevant outside of the first few chapters. Then you got Goku achieving Super Saiyan Blue as well as Vegeta, but then that even gets trumped by Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego. I wanted to make a video about this, but I'll go ahead and touch on it now. This is my thoughts for those transformations. If you say that Goku and Vegeta end up achieving God mode and it helps them be able to fight on par with these deities and stuff, I'm all for that. I could say that God mode is actually the final form and the ultimate form of Super Saiyan, which that would still allow Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3 to have some relevance within fights, as is, being a deity shouldn't be an easy thing to achieve. But the Ultra Instinct, which I think is decent technique, and even Roshi was starting to seemingly tap into that. That could have been the ultimate form for the human characters such as Yamcha, Tien, and Krillin, especially with their exposure to God energy, which you do see in Super. That could have been humans' equivalent of the Super Saiyan, while also allowing them to develop new techniques so that way they can compete. What the hell about Super Saiyan Blue? And then the hybrids actually have Super Saiyan Blue. It makes that much more sense. It gives everyone something unique, an interesting power up, and it gives everybody the ability to compete. And I think that would have definitely helped out the fighting, the stories, the character development, because there are a lot of really unique stories in here. The Galaxy Patrol one would have been something awesome had all of the Z Fighters been able to get into it. And that's another thing I'm starting to notice as well. And I was thinking to myself, why the hell do the Z Fighters not consistently train? I'm not saying that they should train every day, but throughout their lives, they've all been hit villainous challenge to the very existence of Earth. Why the hell don't they have periods where they just sit there and train? And not just train in the stupid ways they've been, because obviously they're not efficient enough to keep up with them. Hell, Piccolo trains all the freaking time and can barely do anything. Have anyone ever thought about, I don't know, Piccolo and Vegeta training together? Has anyone thought of utilizing the same methods the Saiyans use to train? Has anyone thought of Whis actually training the other characters? But those are just a few of the writing problems. But ultimately, Dragon Ball Super is decent. It's decent. It could be better. It has a lot of really bad writing decisions, but ultimately, it's still a fun ride. It's great seeing these characters go on these adventures. For the little moments that the characters did have, I really appreciated what the supporting cast of characters were able to bring. It's still a decent direction, and I do hope that they're able to course correct with the Granola arc if they're going to continue the series. Having said that, I'll definitely say Dragon Ball Super gets 3 out of 5. I still say that the anime fucking killed it with the Tournament of Power, but I say that the manga definitely has a bit more of a cohesive story. Having said that, guys, in the comment section below, let me know, what do you think of Dragon Ball Super? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you like the anime over the manga? Do you like the manga over the anime? And which arc is your favorite arc? And that's including the anime and the manga. Be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and the notification button to get the best of what we got going on this channel. And we'll see you guys next weekend.